much because may not have a lot of people showing themselves. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to share my screen and we are going to get into this webinar. And you can see everyone, this is NCCA Canada's webinar on interpersonal communication skills for May. And we're looking at the art of the elevator pitch. And I'm happy to do this. This is our first official NCCA Canada webinar, and we're going to do a few more. And I just want to quickly introduce Jing. She, just so everyone knows, she's our volunteer. So if anyone has any questions for her, or if you see me talking to her a lot about NCCA stuff, it's because she's very graciously helping us with her volunteer time. So thank you, Jing.
You're welcome.
All right. So you can mute yourself and I'm going to go ahead and start. I see Chloe's joined as well. Welcome, Chloe. Okay. This is being recorded. We are going to probably put it on YouTube. So if you don't know me, my name is Rick Phillips, and I'm the Executive Director of NCCA Canada since 2016, its inception. And so I handle a lot of the legwork, and I'm a designated coach. I run a small company called 3V Communications, which is communication skills coaching and training. I did a TEDx talk on the long life of first impressions. I'm a global guru for the last few years since 2022, top 30, different numbers, which just shows that I'm kind of busy in the space of communication professionals and getting recognized. So I appreciate that. And I co-authored a book called Pinnacle of Influence with Global Gurus, which is how the world's greatest thought leaders became global gurus. The idea is people share their stories of entrepreneurship and thought leadership. So I was one of many to do that. And I have books like Small Talk, The Art of Small Talk, because I've been studying this stuff for a long time. And finally, I work for a Canadian charity called Yeti, York Entrepreneurship Development Institute, where we train entrepreneurs, both in the for-profit and nonprofit space, here and abroad. So that just gives you a little bit of a snapshot about me and where my ideas come from. And before my MBA, my original degree was sociology and psychology. Okay, moving on from all that formality. NCCA Canada, just a quick little snapshot. If you don't know, we're a nonprofit home for Canadian coaches, communication coaches, and trainers. And we want to promote professional standards, offer certification and designation to coaches that want that. And we want to offer regular professional development and networking events, whether in person or webinars, which are really open to anyone. So thank you for joining today, but we're always welcome anyone. If you see something else coming up that you like, please join up. They're always free or low cost because we are a nonprofit. You can find those on our events page on our website. We're also on social medias like X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So feel free to follow us or find us there as well. Okay, let's get into it. Today's topic is the art of the elevator pitch. And what I want to look at is, you can see the bullet points. I want to look at current challenges people may have, look at a couple big theories and concepts that we should be aware of, and then try a couple simple formulas, see how we can use the theory into a formula. And if you're willing, you can also practice yourself. And we'll get Q&A if there's any time for that, no problem. So the planned time for this is 45 minutes. So not an hour, but 45 minutes. So just be aware, we're looking for short and sweet and hopefully good information for everyone here. So my first question to you, my audience, is, what are your challenges with elevator pitching? So I just want to get a couple of your ideas. You can unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat. Hi, Steve. It's up to you. But what I'd like to do is get your ideas first. So what are your challenges with elevator pitching so far? Like anything at all that comes to your mind. Jing, since you're my lovely volunteer, I want to pick on you first, if you don't mind, just to get the ball rolling. In your experience, because you've got other things, you're out and doing your businesses and your education, all that stuff. So tell me, what are your challenges with this so-called elevator pitching?
I didn't experience too much elevator pitching that much because in Windsor we don't have that much elevators.
Right, right.
But sometimes we do have that kind of we have to meet maybe one big person in a small private room. So sometimes I may feel kind of embarrassing.
Hmm.
That awkward silence was kind of torture.
Right,
No.
right, right.
Yeah, you have nothing to tell them because
Mm,
you may have different life experience, different work. You have so few topics in common. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So trying to connect with them, dealing with awkward pauses, being in different
yeah,
rooms, maybe, not sure.
yeah.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. That's that networking, small talk. These are kind of common issues, but the elevator pitching is we're trying to say something important, right? We're trying to pitch our
Mm,
business or we're trying to maybe pitch an idea at the office. It doesn't have to be business. Maybe we've got what we think is a great idea. We want to pitch that, but maybe it's not as easy because there's some challenges. Very good. Thank you.
yeah.
Does anyone else want to share your challenges? Either you can unmute or you can put it in the chat. Um, anyone else?
Minutes to answer. So hi Rick,
Hi.
this is Chloe.
Hi, Chloe.
I think my challenges are limited space and limited time, and also I need to identify which person is the most important people, right, among
Mhm.
the group. Am I pitching to multiple people or only one person?
Mhm. Good point. So just trying to
Thank
the
you.
lay of the land and who should I be pitching to and do I do it multiple times and all that stuff. Very good. Excellent.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Give it a minute. Steve, can I pick on you? Anything in the chat, Ching?
No.
Okay. Okay. So let me continue.
Mm,
There could be some different challenges depending, but I wrote a few things down ahead of time. One thing is that it can be stressful. It can be
mm,
genuinely stressful because this is not something we do all the time, or there's some hierarchies at play. Like Chloe was saying, who's the person I should be talking to, and does that cause extra stress because they're in a higher position of authority at the company, for example? So there could be stress just with public speaking in general, especially pitching something you feel is very important. Um, Memorized is some people say memorize the elevator pitch, some people say no, some people say memorize the first line or two. If I'm memorizing any part of it, that can create some challenge and some stress as well. If I don't remember it, it's a big problem. I'll go into that a little bit later. Some people feel that it feels fake to do so-called elevator pitching when you've got 20 seconds or 30 seconds and you're trying to, I guess, convince somebody to buy your product or invest in you or, buy into whatever you're selling. So some people feel this is very forced and fake, and that creates a bit of a uncomfortable feeling for them, maybe even an ethical question. So that can be a challenge with elevator pitching for some people. Some people may feel it's inflexible. You spend a lot of effort trying to create a perfect pitch based on all the keywords and everything, and then you find it only works in very slim situations. It doesn't work here. It works with this type of people, not that type of people. It works in this type of setting, not that type of setting. So then you're like, well, I've got to do this all over again. So some people really find the elevator pitching to be inflexible that way. And the last point I wrote down was that some people feel there's just no smooth delivery of it. No matter what they do, it's not coming out smooth. It sounds forced. It sounds fake or made up or pushy or salesy or whatever you want to call it. Just can't really get it out smoothly, especially if there's a time limit. And so these are some challenges that could cause some stress with elevator pitching. And we definitely want to talk about this today. So moving on. Uh, what do you think of this picture? I wonder, just don't tell me, just think about it. I wonder what this picture has to do with elevator pitching. Let's think about that a little bit. Okay, the picture of this cat. Um, we're going to look at big theories and concepts and just a few that I've come across. So the first thing I want to talk about is memorized versus natural. Memorized pitch versus natural pitch. Um, I'm not the type of person or trainer to tell you only do what I say and don't listen to that person. Like, of course not. It's always up to you, and it's really good to learn what other people are doing. And that's why you've come to this event, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube and you're just kind of curious. So the problem with memory is if you're under stress, your memory temporarily wipes. And that's the problem with memorizing a pitch, even a short elevator pitch. So some people are really good at memorizing. Maybe you're from a education system that encouraged you to memorize poems and recite and things like that. But when you're under stress, which these elevator pitching environments are often when you're trying to persuade someone or sell something or get investment or get the big boss to listen to your idea, that level of stress that spikes will often create a temporary memory wipe. And what that means is that your body under stress says, I got to get out of here. This is known as the fight or flight or freeze, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flight, fight. I don't want to go into it, but there's basically what happens under stress is your body has to decide what to do. Your mind, your brain just wants to focus on what it needs to do to escape the situation. So is that fight? Is that run? Is that freeze? Is that negotiate? But that's why it gets rid of unnecessary information in a temporary way. So a lot of people, and I've seen this firsthand with my work working with Yeti and the entrepreneurs that pitch all the time, where people that have memorized, they often forget. If either the whole thing, they draw a complete blank, or they forget parts of, and they don't know whether to go back and try to skip over, and then it gets very stressful for them as they're trying to adapt to them forgetting even part of their pitch. So that's what I want you to consider, why I personally don't think that memorization is a good idea, because it only works when you're comfortable and calm, not when you're under stress. Okay, so that means Rick is telling you you must have a natural conversation. Let's look at natural a bit. Natural versus structured. Should we have a natural conversation where I have no template? I just walk in, I just go to the networking event or the meeting, and I just talk naturally. Or should I have some structure? Well, my advice to you would be think about interviews, whether it was your first part-time job as a student or whether it's your last job that you got. Would you appreciate the advice of a very important job you wanted to get if someone said to you, just act natural. If they like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't. Would that be good advice if you really wanted that job, if that job was really going to help you in your career and your finances? Or would you rather have that person, the coach, the mentor, give you some structure? Well, here's how you should walk and talk and dress, and here's some common Q&A, and let's talk about your body language. Let's talk about this and that. The structure is going to be better. So that's what I would say if someone says, just go natural, just think naturally, don't have anything in your head. The problem is you may miss opportunities to really communicate a lot of things that are important: brand, value, your key points. So we definitely want to have structure. So my reasoning for that is just to think about interviews and how it's not good to just go in unprepared for interviews. So if I'm suggesting structure is good, should we be using formulas or big concepts? So should I memorize formulas? There's lots out there, elevator pitch formulas. Or should I just look at big concepts that allow me to loosely create a pitch, and that's my guide, that's my structure? Well, my first question would be, what's easier? What's easier for you? Definitely play with both. What's easier for you? Personally, I prefer big concepts. That's my style. That works for me. However, I recognize that some people love formulas because their templates and formulas can be interchanged with different words, and they can be adjusted quickly for different networking events or different boardroom meetings. So I'm good with both. I think it's good to have a couple formulas that you like and trust and some concepts that match them, so that when you're speaking at your events or your meeting, you have concepts in your head that you want to get out. And if there's a bit of formula help, that's great too. Now, last thing about concept is selling versus learning and helping. A lot of people, I talked to a client today, she's an accountant, small business owner, wants to get better at networking. And she says, I don't want to sound too salesy. I don't want to sound like I'm selling people. Well, we have to get used to the idea that selling shouldn't feel negative. If you feel negative, why is that? Is you don't believe in the product or service? Probably not if it's you. Probably the feeling is that you don't want to be pushy, you don't want to fool people because you have the stereotype in your head of what can happen in sales if we have a let's quote unquote bad salesperson with the wrong morals. What I want you to think about, instead of I'm selling my idea, I'm selling my business to this other person, I want you to think about I'm learning about them and I'm helping them. So once again, I'm not selling my product or service specifically, but in my head, I want to learn about them and I want to help if I can. Now, this will naturally create a lot more comfort, like the cat, and the comfort leads to trust, and trust leads to more openness. So when I am comfortable, you can be more comfortable with me. We can together trust each other more and we can open up a bit. And then you can just talk and listen and go back and forth. So the selling will happen in a conversational way. But if it helps, don't think of it as selling. Think of it as learning a bit and helping where possible. If you think about that, I think psychologically speaking, it can really help you get over that hump if you have a negative impression of the word sales and selling. So that's my advice to you. Switch the paradigm to learning and helping. I'm going to stop here just for a second. If there's any questions, please let me know either verbally or put in the chat before I go on to the next section where we can practice a bit if you're brave.
Rick, I have a question. What is the big concept?
Yeah. So to me, a theory and a concept are very similar, where we're taking what the experts out there are suggesting as theories or concepts. And so what I'm saying to you today is that my concepts and theories that I agree with is: 1, don't memorize; 2, have some structure; 3, use formulas if they work for you, but bigger concepts are more important. And the concepts we're going to get to in the next slide, Chloe. And 4th, don't think of yourself as selling, but think of yourself as learning and helping. So that's our theories and concepts. But the 2 big concepts are coming on the next slide that I want to reinforce. Jing, is there anything in the chat, or we can go?
No, there is anything in the chat.
Okay, let's go. So Chloe, to answer your question, and everyone, first verbal formula uses the concept of help. Help is a concept. People respond to the word help in any language. People feel motivated to respect the word help. And if I'm offering you help or you're offering me help, it's a good feeling. It's a good exchange. It does not bring up the guardrails to be defensive. It's rather the opposite. So with the concept of help, you can think of something simple, because we're going to mix formula and concept. Okay, so the concept is help. Now let's look at a formula. The first formula is very simple: who and what. Who and what. So, for example, hi, I'm Rick, and I help coaches become a fully certified communication coach. I do different things, but I'm just going to take this little segment. So, who is not about Rick, although I am introducing myself. And you can be more formal. You could say your last name, you can see your title, all that stuff, but I'm keeping it simple. So who is not really about me. It's who do I help? And the answer is I help coaches in this example. So remember, who do you help and what do you do to help? Well, I help them become something. Okay, so who and what in this case is who do I help and what do I help them with? Hi, I'm Rick, and I help coaches become a fully certified communication coach, for example. Okay. Now, another way using the same concept of help is who, how, why. You could also do who, how, what, why, or who, what, how, why. But I'm trying to keep it simple. So once again, it's who do you help? How do you help them? And the trickiest one, why do you help them? So who, target market; how, product, service. Okay, but why? Hi, I'm Rick, and I help coaches become a certified communication coach by offering training so they can lead the next generation in Canada. Now we're getting somewhere. So I help coaches. What and how? Well, become a certified communication coach. The how could be by offering training or by offering this or that program. But why? Well, so they can lead the next generation in Canada. I'm one of the first generations of communication coaches in Canada. I want to pass it on. That's a bit of my why. Now, remember, these are conversation starters or part of, you're going to have a whole conversation. The idea with these formulas is they stimulate a conversation of back and forth. The idea of a 1-minute elevator pitch, I don't recommend you do it. I don't recommend that. I recommend you try to go back and forth in a more dynamic conversation, Q&A, sharing with each other, learning how you can help them, sharing how you help. That's what I suggest. Okay. So I know I'm just throwing this at you, but if anyone would like to try one or two of these formulas, who, what, or who, how, why, we're happy to give you a chance now to practice it. Is anyone brave enough that they would like to try this just for fun and maybe get some feedback? So if you're an entrepreneur, you might be thinking, I'm the president of ABC company and all that stuff, but that might not be that important in that elevator pitch. Maybe just your first name is okay to get things going, and letting them know more specifically what is it you're doing to help, or who you're helping and why you do that. It's a little more important. And then when the curiosity is raised, then you can go into more of the details if you want, but the formalities. If you are not an entrepreneur and you're a manager somewhere, for example, or president of a small company, et cetera, then same thing. It's like, well, who do I help, or who does my company help, and how does the company do it, and why? Why do we think this company needs to exist? Why does this product have to be made? So who, how, and why. So the concept of help is the concept, and then the formula is who, what, or who, how, why. And you would obviously do this for homework. You would fill out these, you'd kind of talk to yourself or your partners, you'd figure out what is a good answer, come up with a few different examples. Then you would go to that networking event or that pitching event, or maybe it becomes part of your branding and marketing materials. But really trying to figure out ahead of time, who do you help, how do you help, and why do you help them will really help you. Okay. So you could think of a big company and sort of play around in your head like, well, if I was Starbucks, how would I answer this, right? So it's like, who does Starbucks help? And you have to think, well, maybe they help coffee lovers who want a really, really good coffee experience. Well, how do they help them? Well, they provide these really cool coffee shops that allow you to mingle, especially in the beginning, to sit and relax and have good coffee and mingle, and talk to your friends. Well, why do they do that? Well, because they don't believe in the fast food model of coffee shops. They believe in a more relaxed environment. Now, I didn't work for Starbucks. I'm just making that up. But you see what I'm going with this, right? It allows you to tell a story about your company or your idea or your product, whatever it might be. So this exercise can really, really be useful. Okay. Last chance. Anyone want to try it, or we move on? Okay. Now, this next verbal formula is using the concept of problem solving. So solving problems and help are similar, maybe flip side of a coin. So you can play with them a bit. Here's the formula. You know how, and then you state the problem. Well, what we do is some sort of action to solve it so that our potential client can, feel relief. So the formula is, you know how, well, what we do is so that can. This sounds very structured. This is very much structured compared to the other one. And the concept is problem solving, and the structure allows you to have a conversational selling, discussion without feeling you're just interviewing someone like a police officer or something like that. It's more like, so the first part is, you know how, and you're hoping for a yes. So you've got to know your audience. You have to know who you're talking to. Well, you know how there's this big problem? Yeah. So what we do, or what I do, is this sort of action so that people like that can relax and be comfortable. Oh, how do you do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's talk. So as an example here, you know how some people with disabilities are disadvantaged when job hunting? Yeah. Well, what we do is connect people of all abilities to employers worldwide so that everyone can feel supported, trained, and have access to a good career. So I'll give you a second to think about that. And you can see the formula in my answer. You know how, problem. Well, what we do is action to solve it so that the potential client can, feel relief. Or clients, if you have two different clients, that's fine too. So it's a bit of a longer concept. It's a bit of a longer theory or formula. But some people love this because it allows them to really have some language they can then practice, and they can go into it. And it really brings the problem that you're trying to solve to the surface. Now, we're talking about entrepreneurs, but let's talk about a manager at an office, or doesn't have to be a manager, someone on a team who sees a problem at the office, sees a problem with the efficiency of business. That person wants to go to their manager and bring up this issue. So once again, we could use this formula almost like a persuasive model. We could say to the manager, well, you know how, let's say the computer system's a bit slow and lagging and there's a few things we can't do. Yeah. Well, what I can do, or what we can do is, or what we did at this other company is, and then you say something like, we upgraded to this system, or we circumnavigated this way, or we hired this external consultant for that, so that, and the potential client here could be us, the company, it could be you, the boss, the senior management, or it could be the client companies, the company clients, so that we can be much more efficient and give our clients faster service, or so that we can be much more efficient and everyone here at the office can get through their day quickly, not have to do so much overtime. So this so-called elevator pitch, which people often think is about entrepreneurs pitching their business, actually you can use it for having discussions at work with team and management. It's about dealing with a problem, bringing it to the surface, and then providing some sort of solution. Okay, so problem solving, helping, flip side of a coin, but very, very useful to look at concepts. So once again, I'm going to pause here for a second. I know this is longer, but if you have any questions about this, or if you want to try it, please let me know. I'm just going to pause for a second.
I'd like to try as an entrepreneur.
Okay, go ahead, Jing.
Imaginary, because I don't have my own business, but I'm thinking about some business when I was afraid. So, you know how many people have diabetes
Yes.
recently? So, what we can do is to provide them more natural food rather than too much sugar and fat. So, so we have a really big farm that can provide people enough natural and green vegetables and other food so they can reduce their weight a little bit and suffer less from the diabetes thing.
Good.
Like that.
Good. I mean, for a first time trying it, really good, Jing, really good. So again, that's why we would do this for homework. We'd write a few things out, we'd scratch this and add this and ask our friend what they think, or our teammate. But basically the formulas, you used it very well. So you know how diabetes is on the rise in Canada or in America? Yeah. Well, what we do is we really provide natural food so that people can lose weight comfortably and be healthy.
Yeah.
And they don't need the medicine, the diabetes medicine.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the pain, right? The pain of diabetes is that needle and whatever, if it's serious case, the weight or that's the problem, right? The bigger problem in society is the rise of diabetes. That's true. But if you're talking to a group of people who are suffering, then it's like, we want to avoid this needles and this surgeries and this and that. So here's what we can do. And the person's like, yeah. So by identifying the problem first, then we offer what we can do to relieve that. It's going to be a little more interesting conversation for everybody. Good.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job. Good job. Yeah, so this is, I tell people these formulas and concepts, they're tools. You can modify them. You can play with them. Even today, I've given you a couple different ways of using it, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're someone on the team, whether you're a manager, you can play with the formula to match your needs. And then you try it out. Oh, that kind of worked a bit. Okay, let me try that again. Maybe I'll change this word a bit. I'll change that. But let me try that again. So help, problem solve, flip side of a coin. Good. Okay. Anybody else want to try, or does anybody have any questions? Rick, Chloe, Stephen, any questions? Anyone else? We'll try. No? Okay. Let me move on here. So the wrapping up this is obviously you have to go practice. We can all read something from a book, me too, and say, well, that sort of makes sense. I like intellectually speaking, that makes sense. But you want to actually go and try it. And some of you might have some event coming up in a week or two, and you can actually go and try it. Some of you, maybe you don't have a specific event in mind. In that case, I would suggest you try this with friends and family. You try this with coworkers. You can try this with people in the customer service industry who are good at small talk. You can sort of practice your small talk a bit. I understand you're not going to pitch your business to the coffee shop barista. I get that. What I mean is that you can practice in your head, even like, how would I use this formula in this scenario, or how would I approach this? Or like I did today, I said, if I was Starbucks, how would I use that formula? If I'm Coca-Cola, if I'm McDonald's, if I'm Tim Hortons, you can think of, if I'm Lululemon, who do I help? How do I help? Why do I help them? And so that exercise can really get you to start thinking about how these concepts of helping people and problem solving are really, really fundamental to how humans respond to anything. We're either going towards something pleasurable and rewarding and relaxing, like the cat, or we're running away from escaping something scary or a headache, a big problem. And that's how we're sort of living our life, is go towards the resources and avoid things that'll take away from us. And so using a simple concept of help and problem solving actually will be really, really beneficial to you, whether you use it with a specific formula or not. Okay. We're a little bit faster today because we didn't have as much interaction, which is absolutely fine. I'm really glad we did this, and this will be available, like I said, on YouTube if people want to watch it again. But if there's any questions, of course, you can send me an email. We do have a newsletter. If you are signed up, that's great. If not, or if you have friends interested in this type of stuff, have them sign up. And we're on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And you can always go to our events page if you are curious what's coming up. As a quick summary, the NCCA webinar is coming up. We have one on May 28th, which is with East and West Learning Connections, which is about using a persuasion model, different from today. Same idea of how do we be persuasive. On June 16th, we're going to have our president, Mark Bowden, who, if you don't know him, he's a world-famous body language expert. He's going to be doing an interview. I'll be interviewing him part of the webinar, and we'll be asking him about coaching and communication and key tips for business leaders. He loves doing that stuff. And on June 25th, we have another business communication webinar with East and West Learning Connections. And then for those of you in Toronto, we have a Toronto Mixer on June 25th, which is going to be at the Pilot Pub. And I'll be there, and we're going to have our president, Mark Bowden, be there as well. And we're going to mix coaches with business people and just talk about body language, talk about communication, have a drink, and just get to know each other in a casual setting. But we're going to be able to ask Mark anything about body language and communication. That's going to be really fun to get that closeness with him. He's a well-renowned expert, and we're really lucky to have him, and he's generous with his time. So we're going to take advantage of that. So thank you very much for your time. This will be uploaded to our YouTube channel soon. And just a quick one last slide is, this is what it would look like if you go to the NCCA Canada website and you go to the events page. You can see the calendar link, and then you'd go to calendar, and then you'd find the date, click on it, and then the description and the registration information would be there if you need it. So that's...
Sorry, Rick, sorry,
Hi,
do you have another minute? Yeah, sorry, I
of
joined
course.
in a little bit late.
Absolutely.
I apologize.
No, I have...
interrupt.
Absolutely, go ahead.
No, this is fascinating because, I mean, obviously you and I go back a little bit, but I guess on my end, I was curious in terms of like the pitch itself. I mean, I've been actually doing some research, and you're probably familiar with Eugene Schwartz's work around gradualization method, which sounds like that's might be sort of. But anyways, it's something that I kind of came across, and I saw there's a little bit of synergy. But anyways, happy to shoot that your way after. But I'm wondering, in terms of body language that you mentioned, if let's say you're doing this elevator pitch over the phone, I mean, even though the person might not be able to see essentially, who you are, but at the same time, do you recommend any sort of anything to kind of, I guess, make yourself a little bit more animated, more vocal, just so that you kind of have that a bit more, just that you can kind of convey, I guess, that confidence? Because I mean, I know a lot of communication is nonverbal, but over the phone, if you're doing it, then if you had any best practices around there that one can do.
What a great question, Steve. Thank you so much. And the word nonverbal actually covers vocal communication. So verbal will be the words themselves that you say, the grammar, the syntax, but vocal communication is your pitch, your energy, your cadence. So Great question. So if it's not on Zoom, it's not in person, they can't see you, what can you do? The first advice I would say is stand up, don't sit down
Okay.
for the call.
Mhm.
Have good posture energy before the call. So make sure you're not
Mhm.
slouched, you're not like multitasking. So you would stand up,
Mhm.
you'd have good open body language, even though no one can see you, because your voice is affected by all of this. And at the same time, I would add a what I call a 2% smile. It's like I always think about, Canada's famous for 2% milk. Personally, I don't like it. I prefer real milk with a little bit thicker. But anyway, a 2% smile is when you think to yourself, and if you have a mirror, you can do this at home as well to get good at it. But you're thinking to yourself, if I just had a 2% smile, how can I relax my forehead? How can I make sure I'm not like feeling like thinking too much and feeling stern? Here's my 2% smile. Watch my lip.
Mhm.
It's just a little bit, right? It's not like a goofy
Mhm.
grin. So the 2% smile can be good for a lot of scenarios, Zoom in person as well. We just want to make sure that your face doesn't have some sternness to it when your face isn't looking too serious. So a 2%
Mhm.
smile is really good even when you're over the phone because it sets the mood of like, I'm going to be relaxed, I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be confident, I'm going to be happy, not goofy, but happy. And then when you answer that phone, when appropriate, if appropriate, you can
Mhm.
smile. I'm not going to say you have to smile the whole call. If appropriate, you can smile and joke because people hear the laughter. I remember a number of years ago, my cousin got his first job at a restaurant. He was bar backing, and I remember the uh, the hostess who answers the phone. She gave that piece of advice to him. She's like, "If you ever answer the phone, make sure you smile." And he said, "Why? They can't see me." And she said, "Because they can hear your smile." And she's absolutely right. And so I would say the same thing, if appropriate, where you're going to show that energy in a
Mhm.
positive way, you want to smile fully. If not, a 2% smile is fine. And that allows you to have that better lung capacity, better voice. Okay. So stand up, get good
Okay.
posture, open everything, and
Mhm.
2% smile.
Okay. That's good advice. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
You can, if you really want to go the next step, you record yourself, right? I know it sounds,
yeah.
but one time
Sure.
sitting down with your elbows on the table, just like
Mhm.
this, kind of like recording yourself, talking to your phone. And the other
Yep.
time you stand up and you get yourself positioned, then you record yourself for
Mhm.
the 30 seconds. You just see if you don't want, you can ask somebody else. If you listen to these two recordings, which one sounds different or better, if any. So you could also do that as well if you want to just sort of play with that.
I see people sometimes like walking or pacing a little bit. Just I guess that
Yeah,
helps, or maybe having a mirror where that you're looking into as well.
you could. I mean, for me, I think that'd be too much pressure to be
Overkill.
looking at. I don't want to look at myself when I'm talking to someone else. I want to, and I wouldn't be pacing
Mm,
too much because people can hear when you're walking. Because even people that are in shape, they sound like the breathing changes, the
right.
breathing because
Okay.
you're kind of walking and pacing.
Hmm.
So my suggestion would be to stand and
Okay.
have good posture, be open, have good clarity and
Mm,
openness, and then talk with a 2% smile and just take it from there. That would be my suggestion.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hope it helps.
Yep.
Okay, we're wrapping this up. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? You can put it in the chat, or you can email me later, of course, or you can reach out to NCCA Canada if you have any questions about what we do and why we do it. Who do we help? How do we help? Why do we help? All that stuff. But in the meantime, I thank you so much for showing up. I know we missed a few people. I'll try to make sure we get extra reminders for those for next time. And if you want, we'll see you again at a future webinar or at an event or a conference when we do those. So without further ado, thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
This is really helpful.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Thank you.